ডক্টর অমিতাভ মন্ডল, ডক্টর নবীন রাজপাল, ডক্টর সৌভিক দাশগুপ্ত, ডক্টর স্বাতি সিনহা বাবু, এমডি আবুল বাসার, ডক্টর শান্তনু বিষয়ী, ডক্টর শ্রী রাহুল সরকার, শ্রী রাহুল নন্দী, for their active cooperation and support, without which it is not possible to organize such a program. Last but not the least, students, scholars, other participants, supportive staff are also welcome, without whom this program will not get its proper self. So here's a hearty congratulations, big and warm enough to encompass you all. Let's enjoy the speech of Professor Bera. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Now I request Professor Subhashish Bhattacharya, HOD Department of Economics, to deliver his introductory speech. Next.
আচ্ছা, আমি কিন্তু বাংলায় বলবো, কারণ আমি ভেবেছিলাম ইংরেজিতে বলবো, কিন্তু দেখলাম সকালবেলা স্যারের রুমে যখন গেলাম, স্যার বললো ওই গেস্ট হাউসের খাতাটাতে স্যার বললো বাংলায় নেই। তাই আমাদের উচিত অন্তত এটা আমাদের মনে করিয়ে দেয়া যে তোমরাও বাংলায় করো, সেই ইন্সপিরেশনটা থেকে আমি বাংলায় বলছি। হ্যাঁ, সবাইকে সুপ্রভাত। আজকে একটা স্মরণীয় দিন। আমার কাছে একটা চ্যালেঞ্জ ছিল, একটু ইতিহাসটা বলে নিই। আমি স্যারের সাথে মিট করি সম্ভবত 2019 বিদ্যাসাগর ইউনিভার্সিটিতে। সেখানে স্যার ইচ্ছা প্রকাশ করেছিলেন যে তোমাদের ওখানে একটা বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় হয়েছে, আমি যাব। তারপর তো কোভিড এসে সমস্ত তছনছ করে দিয়েছে। তো স্যারকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ প্রথমেই, যে আমাদের জন্য তার এই ব্যস্ত শিডিউল থেকে আমাদেরকে সময় উনি দিয়েছেন। আমাদের কমার্সের ডিন স্যার অমিতাভ, কমার্সের হেড স্যার মলয়বাবু, আমাদের টিচাররা, সমস্ত ফ্যাকাল্টিরা, আমাদের পিএইচডি স্কলাররা কমার্স এবং ইকোনমিক্সের, এই প্রোগ্রামটাকে সাকসেসফুল করার জন্য প্রথমেই আমি ধন্যবাদ দিচ্ছি। অনিল কুমার বেরা, এই নামটা ইকোনমিক্স এর লোকেদের, উনি যদিও স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্স এর মানুষ, কিন্তু ইকোনমিক্স এর লোকেদের, উনি দেশে থাকুন বা না থাকুন, যারা পিজি স্টুডেন্টস তারা অনেক ভালোভাবে জানে যে কেন ইম্পর্টেন্ট। আমি সেই ব্যাখ্যাটা দিয়ে যাচ্ছি, সেগুলো আমাদের পড়াশোনার সাথে রিলেটেড। তা সেই মানুষটাকে আমরা পেয়েছি। একটু স্যার ফুটপ্রিন্টটাকে যদি আমি বলে দিই, সেটা হচ্ছে রাজেন্দ্রপুর রামকৃষ্ণ মিশন, প্রেসিডেন্সি কলেজ, আইএসআই, অস্ট্রেলিয়ান ন্যাশনাল ইউনিভার্সিটি, এখন ইলিনয় আরবানা শ্যাম্পেন। স্যার এইভাবে তার সমস্ত একাডেমিক রাস্তাটাকে একটা দৃষ্টান্ত করে তোলার জন্য দৃষ্টান্ত করে তুলেছেন, যে আমরা স্যারের কাছ থেকে ইন্সপিরেশন পাই। এবং এখনো একাডেমিক ক্ষেত্রে স্যার যেভাবে অ্যাক্টিভ, স্যারের যে সমস্ত পেপারস এখনো বেরোচ্ছে, সেগুলো মানে আমাদের কতটা যে সমৃদ্ধ করে, সেটা বলার অপেক্ষা রাখে না। 2 নম্বর বিষয়, আর একটা বিষয় আমি স্যারের হাইলাইট করবো, যেটা না হলে স্যারকে ঠিক চেনা যায় না। সেটা হচ্ছে তোমরা যদি কাছ থেকে যখন প্রোগ্রামটার পর স্যারের সাথে সবাই মিট করবে, আমি জানি স্যারের টুপিটা লক্ষ্য করবে, ওটার একটা ইতিহাস আছে। সেই টুপিতে স্যার একটা প্রতিষ্ঠান চালান। স্যার যে তার শিকড়কে ভুলে যাননি, এবং অনেকেই এরকম শিকড়কে মনে রেখেছেন, কিন্তু যতজন মানুষকে আমি দেখেছি, স্যার তাদের মধ্যে একটা স্ট্রং বন্ডিং, সব থেকে আমি যাদের দেখেছি তাদের মধ্যে, সেই শিকড়ের সাথে, সেটা স্যারের টুপি থেকে তোমরা শুনবে, স্যারের কাছ থেকে শুনবে। আমি আর সেটা ডিটেলসে যাচ্ছি না। আমি অধীর আগ্রহে আমরা অপেক্ষা করছি যে সিএস প্রোডাকশন ফাংশন স্যার কিভাবে বলবেন সেটার জন্য, কারণ স্যারের বলাটাই একটা অন্য রকমের, যেটা খুব মানে ইন্টারেস্ট অন্যভাবে বাড়ায়। আমরা সেটার জন্য ওয়েট করছি। থ্যাংক ইউ সবাইকে, সবাই এটা ভালো করে শোনো, এইটুকু।
থ্যাংক ইউ সুভাষিস বাবু। এখন আমি ডিন কমার্সকে কিছু অনুরোধ করবো কিছু বলার।
সকলকে শুভ সকাল। আমার আগেই প্রফেসর ভট্টাচার্য স্যার সম্পর্কে বললেন। স্যার কে নিয়ে বলাটা বোধহয় আমাদের ধৃষ্ট হতে হবে। কারণ কিছু মানুষ থাকেন পৃথিবীতে যাদের কোনো ইন্ট্রোডাকশনের দরকার হয় না, যাদেরকে নতুন করে বলে জানাতে হয় না। তো স্যার একজন প্রথিতযশা মানুষ, গোটা পৃথিবী চেনে। শুধু আমি এটুকু বলবো যে আমি শুধু ভাবছিলাম কাল থেকে যে এখানে অনেকেই আছি আমরা, মানে যারা রিসার্চ স্কলার বা স্টুডেন্ট, আমি শুধু ভাবছিলাম যে এইরকম সুযোগ যদি আমাদের ছাত্র জীবনে আমরা পেতাম, যে এই ধরনের মানুষদেরকে সামনাসামনি দেখা, তাহলে সেটা যে কি ধরনের একটা মোটিভেশনের সোর্স হতে পারতো, আমি শুধু সেইটা ভাবছিলাম। যে এটা সত্যি আমাদের একদম ঐকান্তিক ভাবে বলছি, এটা আমাদের সৌভাগ্য। এবং স্যারের মতো মানুষ যে ইচ্ছা প্রকাশ করেছেন এবং আলটিমেটলি এসেছেন, এবং কতটা কষ্ট করে এসেছেন সেটা আমরা শুনলাম। ওনার ট্রেন মাঝরাতে এসে পৌঁছেছে, যাই হোক। তো স্যার, আমরা সমগ্র বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের তরফ থেকে দুটো ডিপার্টমেন্টের পক্ষ থেকে, ইকোনমিক্স ডিপার্টমেন্ট এবং কমার্স ডিপার্টমেন্ট, এবং আমাদের ইউনিভার্সিটির প্রত্যেক স্টুডেন্ট, প্রত্যেক মেম্বারের তরফ থেকে আপনাকে অসংখ্য কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাচ্ছি। আপনার প্রেজেন্সটাই যথেষ্ট। আপনি এসেছেন, আপনাকে সামনাসামনি দেখলাম, আপনি দুটো কথা বললেন, শুনলাম। এটাই আমাদের জীবনের সব থেকে বড় পাওনা হতে পারে শিক্ষাগত মানে পড়াশোনার ইয়েতে। আর যেটা সুভাষিস বাবু বললেন, আমি স্যারের সঙ্গে কালকে, আমি পার্সোনাল ইয়ে থেকে বলছি, স্যারের সঙ্গে কালকে যখন আমার কথা হচ্ছিল ইয়েতে, আমি শুধু একটাই কথা লিখেছিলাম যে স্যার, মানে ভীষণ খুশি হব কালকে আপনার সঙ্গে সামনাসামনি দেখা হলে। কারণ একজন পণ্ডিত মানুষের সঙ্গে দেখা করছি বলে সেই খুশিটা নয়, একজন প্রকৃত মানুষের সাথে দেখা করবো বলে। এই ধরনের মানুষ উনি। একাডেমিক্স তো আছেই, কিন্তু শুধু একাডেমিক্স দিয়ে পৃথিবীকে সব মানুষের কাছে আসা যায় না। আমরা ফর এক্সাম্পল, আমরা খুব ডেলিশিয়াস ফুড তৈরি করলাম, কিন্তু উইদাউট লাভ যদি সেটাকে সার্ভ করি, তার যা টেস্ট, যাকে আমরা অফার করছি তিনি যে তৃপ্তি করে খাবেন, আর উইথ লাভ যদি করি, ঠিক পার্থক্য তাই। যে আমি মনে করি যে একাডেমিক্স তো সেটা একটা মানুষের দিক, কিন্তু যেটা প্রথম সেটা হচ্ছে একজন মানুষ হিসাবে কেমন, তা সেইটা স্যারের সঙ্গে মিশলে আমার মনে হয় প্রত্যেকেই সেটা অনুধাবন করতে পারবেন। সুতরাং এটা বলার কিছু নয়। তো সত্যি আমরা সৌভাগ্য যে এরকম একজন পণ্ডিত এবং একইভাবে একদম মাটির কাছাকাছি একজন মানুষ। ওনার ফেসবুক পোস্ট বা ওনার কর্মকাণ্ড, এগুলো দেখলেই বুঝতে পারবেন। ওনার কাছে আমার মনে হয় ব্যক্তিগতভাবে বোধহয় একাডেমিক্সটা সেকেন্ডারি, প্রাইমারিটা হয়তো অন্য কিছু, কিন্তু সেই সেকেন্ডারি জায়গা উনি গোটা পৃথিবী চেনেন ওনাকে, ওনার কাজের জন্য, অন্য কোনো কারণে নয়। স্যার, আর একবার আপনাকে আমরা আমাদের অন্তরের অন্তঃস্থল থেকে কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাচ্ছি, এবং আশা করব এর পরে যখনই আপনি আমাদের মানে ইন্ডিয়াতে আমরা নিজের জায়গায় আসবেন, আপনার সময় সুযোগ মতো আসবেন। আর আজকে স্টুডেন্ট কম হওয়ার পিছনে স্যার কারণ একটাই, যে দুটো সেমিস্টারই এখন নাই। হ্যাঁ, ফোর্থ সেমিস্টার বেরিয়ে গেছে, সেকেন্ড সেমিস্টারের পরীক্ষা হয়ে গেছে, এখন ক্লাস, আর সেই জন্যই স্টুডেন্ট ছিল না, হলে এই ঘরে হয়তো ব্যবস্থা করা যেত না স্টুডেন্টদেরকে। হ্যাঁ, 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 অনেক রিসার্চ স্কলার এসেছে ইকোনমিক্স এবং কমার্স ডিপার্টমেন্টে। আর অবশ্যই কমার্স ডিপার্টমেন্টের অনারেবল হেড, ইকোনমিক্স ডিপার্টমেন্টের অনারেবল হেড, ফর্মার হেড ডক্টর মন্ডল, প্রত্যেককে আন্তরিক সাধুবাদ জানাই, ধন্যবাদ জানাই এই ধরনের একটা প্রোগ্রাম অ্যারেঞ্জ করবার জন্য। আর তোমাদের মানে আপনারা যারা প্রত্যেকে এসেছেন, স্কলার, ইকোনমিক্স ডিপার্টমেন্টের অনারেবল ফ্যাকাল্টি মেম্বার, কমার্স ডিপার্টমেন্টের ফ্যাকাল্টি মেম্বার, স্টুডেন্ট, প্রত্যেককে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি যে এখানে থাকার জন্য, এবং স্যারকে সামনাসামনি দেখা এবং স্যারের কথা শোনার জন্য। ঠিক, ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার। আমার সাথে প্রফেসর বেরা স্যারের আলাপ হয়েছিল, মানে একাডেমিক ডিসকাশন নিয়েই আর কি। সামার স্কুল আমরা কমার্স ডিপার্টমেন্টের তরফ থেকে অ্যারেঞ্জ করেছিলাম 2021 সালে। তো স্যার ওখানে স্পিকার ছিলেন, পুরোটাই অনলাইনে ছিল। তখন থেকেই স্যার বলেছিলেন যে ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গলে গেলে সিধুকানুতে একবার যাব, আমাদের ডিপার্টমেন্ট কমার্স ইকোনমিক্স একবার ঘুরবেন। তখন থেকে আমার খুব ইচ্ছা ছিল যে স্যারকে একবার ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গলে পেলে আমরা নিয়ে আসবোই। তো যাই হোক, আমার যতদূর মনে পড়ছে 22-এ বোধহয় স্যার একবার একদম শর্ট ট্রিপের জন্য এসেছিলেন, 2 দিন কি 3 দিন। স্যারের সাথে আমি তখন যোগাযোগ করেছিলাম, স্যার বললেন না এবার একদম ভেরি শর্ট ডিউরেশনের জন্য এসেছি, আমার টাইম ছিল না, তো এবারে আর অসুবিধা হয়নি। মানে আমরাও যেমন ধরেছিলাম, স্যারও ম্যানেজ করে চলে এসেছেন। আমরা মানে কি বলবো, সত্যি খুব আনন্দিত এবং খুব ভালো লাগছে এরকম একটা মানুষকে আমরা কাছে থেকে দেখতে পাচ্ছি। তো যাই হোক, এখন স্যারের কাছ থেকে আমরা সিএস প্রোডাকশন ফাংশন রিলেটেড কিছু যদি জানতে পারি বা শিখতে পারি, তো আমি স্যারকে আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি। স্যার, আপনি এখানে বসেও বলতে পারেন বা ওখান থেকে।
হ্যাঁ, যে কোনো জায়গায় বসে বলতে পারি, তবে একটু ঘোরাফেরা পছন্দ করি হয়তো
ঠিক আছে
এক জায়গায়।
স্যার, এখন সেশন আপনার।
হ্যাঁ, থ্যাংক ইউ। এটা কি পড়া যাচ্ছে ওখান থেকে? আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, অনেক ধন্যবাদ। মানে এত প্রশংসা তার যে মধ্যে রাখতে পারবো কিনা আমি ঠিক জানি না, তবে এটা বলতে পারি এখানে এসে আমার খুবই ভালো লাগছে। এখানে আসার ইচ্ছে ছিল। ও যা অমিতাভ বললো যে হচ্ছে গিয়ে আমি ছিলাম এখানে, এসেছি কিন্তু ভার্চুয়ালি। হ্যাঁ, আজকে সবার এটা বলে রিল মুখোমুখি। খুবই ভালো লাগছে। এই ইনস্টিটিউটে আসার আমার একটা অন্য কারণ হলো যে এই যে একটা ইনস্টিটিউট তৈরি হয়েছে সিধু কানু বিরসার নামে, এই যে তাদের যে ত্যাগ আর কি, সেটা বোধ হয় আমরা কখনোই পূরণ করতে পারবো না কোনো রকমে। সুতরাং অনেকটা ভার হবে, যে আমি যে স্টুডেন্টদের উদ্দেশ্য করে বলছি তোমাদের উপর। তোমরা যতদিন এখানে আছো হচ্ছে গিয়ে মানে পড়াশোনা তো করবেই, তার সাথে তাদের যে তিনজন প্লাস আরো অনেকেই আর কি, যে আমাদের দেশের জন্য করে গেছেন, তোমরা যেন কিছুটা করো। আচ্ছা, তো আমি বেশি আর বলবো না, টু কিছুটা আর কি টপিক্স দিকে তাড়াতাড়ি যেতে চাই। এটা হলো গিয়ে হচ্ছে গিয়ে তুমি ইংরেজি আমি ভূগোলের জন্য রেডি ছিলাম, তাহলে তো বাংলা। ও আচ্ছা, তাহলে ঠিক, দ্যাটস গুড। So, so what is this topic is about? Not any particular topic. That everything is connected. I mean, again, it's connected with my life because I did my undergraduate degree in statistics honors and physics and math pass from Narendrapur. That was a long time back. So I can say before most of you were born. That was 1971. And then that was statistics mainly. And then I went to ISI. And again, I wanted to continue statistics, but slowly I got interested more into the economics. Okay. And so from statistics, I went to economics. But my kind of favorite subject always have been math and physics. Okay. But again, math is not an easy subject to do. So, there is you need a special intelligence to math. So sometimes in ISI they say, if you cannot do math, then you can do statistics. And if you cannot do statistics, then what you do? You do economics. And if you even cannot do economics, then what you do? Then you go to politics. Okay. Okay. That may be the most, useful, as you can see, If you want to make money nowadays, you have to go to politics, no other field. That's why we have so much, killings and everything during election time, because there is money. Okay? Yeah, anyway. So, but here I'm trying to tell you that, we want to do econometrics, but mostly say applied econometrics. I mean, that's the kind of the staple food of economics. See, generally, when you talk about economics, some people say, why people give Nobel Prize in economics? It is not a science. But I think economics has become a science because of econometrics. I still remember when I got into science stream in class 9, physics teacher, Sama Prasad Misra, some said, you are a very selected group of the students because you are doing Vikram, science. And he says, what Vikram means, Bishes Gan. What is Bishes Gan? they told us don't accept anything without a proper proof. Okay, don't accept anything. And that I think was a great lesson. I still, I still remember, don't accept anything. But how do you, what do you need a proof? When we know mathematics proof, just like a solid proof. But when we come to life, there is sometimes not a solid proof. What we can get, good evidence. And what the evidence come from the data. Suppose you have a hypothesis. How do you know your hypothesis is true or false? Okay. So in life, what we do, we'll try to look for an evidence. That mostly in our context is the data. Then you look at the data, what is, data is saying, whether there is enough evidence against the hypothesis or for the hypothesis, then you make a conclusion. Okay, even in physics, chemistry, you have seen those who have done physics, you repeat the experiment many times because there are errors. So that's why you repeat experiment many times, and that's when you get the data, and then you kind of summarize the data. In economics, even we have the harder problem. In physics and chemistry, you deal with chemicals on some, magnetic field, somewhat relatively easy. But in economics, collecting data is not easy. Why? Because you deal with this whole, human beings. And human beings are most difficult, animals in this world. They can manipulate things. Okay. So even we get data, we don't know what the data is correct or wrong. But at least that econometrics tools tells us that to test our hypothesis. Okay. And earlier economics was mostly kind of institution, lot of description, and maybe some very pure theory. But econometrics, in some sense, econometrics is a very relatively new field. Economics has been there for a long time. How long economics has been there to the students? How many years? 10, 20, 30, 100, 200? How many, economics is old? The subject economics. Well, long empire. Exactly, Borjan. Yeah. And who is the first person economics? Until now, exactly. He wrote a book, a treatise in economics. So you can see that, how old this concept of economics is. Okay. And so then econometrics is relatively new. It is not even 100 years old. Econometrics started by the establishment of Econometric Society only in 1933. Okay. And after that, the whole idea of, doing research economics changed. Okay. And how did econometrics came in? Let slowly tell you about, of course, the key ingredient is the economics. And then that was not enough. You need the tools. Economics has no tools. It has a lot of theory. Okay. And whenever you have theory, means it is based on certain assumptions. And then you don't know whether the assumptions are true or not. Okay. So you need tools. And the tools come mostly from statistics. Okay. Then of course the mathematics is the mother of all science. So you do need mathematics. Okay. And those who are doing PhD, that how much math and stat you know. Okay. So today I time to kind of demonstrate or that how useful it would be for certain innovation like just something in only one example of CS production function. As you know, this is the constant elasticity of substitution. Okay, I mean you have used it, and it is used not only in the context econometrics for pure economics like micro, macro like utility function, but it was started with like a production function. Okay, yeah. So that's what I will be. talking about, today. Okay. And again, so the focus will be bit on econometrics, but then we'll go back and forth, other, things. Okay. So this is the, sometimes we call, since I'm an econometrician, so I saw this, in my first class, how special that group of people, because this is again come from the, my science teacher, Shama Prasad Mishra, and he told us, how special we are doing big science. So I told my students, econometrics, how special they are. Basically, they, lead the, I mean, this is little exaggeration, no, you need to know. So no matter what kind of economics you are doing, labor economics, regional economics, urban economics, environmental economics, you cannot, do that without econometrics. Because, the theory is important in economics, but what is, I think, more important, empirical part, application. And application means you deal with the data. Okay, and there comes the econometric tools. So just like when you do your, say, just running your OLS. So OLS is a tool. No, I tell you, tool is a tool. So what is the tool? Tool is something that you can use it for different parts. Okay, so like one of the good tools that we use in my village, they use the what you call sickle, castle. Okay, that's a tool. And with that, you can cut anything. You can cut paddy, you can cut, rice, but it can be used in many contexts. So that is a tool, okay? And it can be used for many purposes. And think about the hammer. You can use the hammer for nice purpose, like building a chair, table, okay? And you can also hit somebody. That will be the misuse. Okay. And sometimes people will use the hammer and sickle in a different way. Like, that, I mean, you have gone through this. I mean, I am a former communist, so I think I have every right to criticize communists. This hammer and sickle have been used, we would say, misused sometimes. Okay, yeah. So that's what, you to use the tool in proper way. Okay, and for that you need to understand the tool. Okay, so that is so just like a CS protection function, it is kind of a function, but it is a tool to explain certain things. Okay, so this is the part. Okay? So this will be more like kind of history. Okay, so I'll go back, not 100 years, many years, and see how CS production function evolved over time. And you won't believe, when I was a student in high school, my favorite subject, two subjects I was most interested in, literature and history. Okay, and my father, who was a homeopathic doctor, he told me no, don't go into this, literature business at all. No, because he told me that you can be a bad teacher or even can be a bad doctor. My father was a doctor, but you can never be a bad writer. No, there will be no livelihood. Okay, so he said, and if that means to get a job, you have to do science. That's why I started with science. Okay, so my father is Econ, so then I think, I can now get back to my, ugly love to history. So I spend a lot of time, looking into the history, including econometric statistics. Okay, so the history that we are taught in high school is like, dates and names, but that's kind of, not exactly the history. History is something like, connecting a lot of events, connecting. So the connection is more important in history, so that, you can see logically, scientifically, how different events are connected, how one thing leads to the another thing. And what you learn, look at the current history, From there, you can almost tell what is going to happen. Not exactly, but you can have some idea. Okay, so there is a lesson to be learned from history. And what thing I'm going to talk about, CS production function, you all of you know, it's like a highly non-linear function. And if you think of econometrics, or just like when you start learning econometrics, how do you learn? Running a regression. What kind of regression you start with? What kind of regression you have started with econometrics? Linear regression. Linear regression. Okay, so beginning everything was linear model, but the real world is not linear at all. Okay, but it took a long time to develop a non-linear model. Like econometrics started in 1933, and it was almost after only 30 years we had this called first non-linear model, and that is the CS production function. Okay, okay, so that's something I do this many times. Okay, now you know what is a linear model. Linear is linear, straight line. Now, if I have to ask you what is a non-linear model, now think about linear. Now, if I say non-linear, because there is not only one kind of non-linear things. Okay, so it's not so easy to say what is a non-linear model. Okay, so whenever I have problem, I just go to my gurus. So this is one of my gurus. Who is this guy? Any idea? Okay. A good friend of Mahatma Gandhi and Leo Tolstoy. Okay, so I am sure you have read some of his books. His books, Nina Karenina. Look at the top. That's the first line of the book. In Anna Karenina. Okay, and it says all happy families resembles one another, but each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. When the family is happy, happy. But when is unhappy, you never know. I mean, sometimes, outside, in the Facebook, everybody is happy families, In Facebook, all families are happy. Okay, yeah. Okay, but, but when the family are unhappy, you never know. It could be for many, many reasons, The kids are not getting good grades, husband not coming home on time, doing something else, all kinds. Okay, so but again, when I say a linear model all are same. No, linear model all are same. But when I come to, so basically I am replacing the family by models. Happy by the linear. Okay. So linear model, they look similar. But a model can be non-linear in its own way. Like it could be quadratic, it could be oscillating, excuse me. All kinds. Okay. Now, first there is some kind of person connection. This will be my main focus. As you can see, he's Indian guy. And you ask anybody, CS production function. I don't know that it has a strong Indian connection. Not only strong Indian connection, he was the kind of, a beginner, the pioneer to do the CS production. Unfortunately, you don't see this in a textbook or any book. And this guy's name is, you can see called Minhas. He passed away. B.S. Minhas. No, Bagicha Singh Minhas. So Singh is Punjabi, but Minhas is not exactly Indian name. It's a Persian name. Bagicha, again, Persian word. Bagicha means garden, exactly. So I think there's a good connection. Okay, so that's, Kicha Yasminas. And then it was published by four people. The first one, of course, everybody knows, Kenneth Arrow. Okay, he also passed away. And then Nobel laureate. Chenery, one of the famous economists, he was the chief economist of the World Bank for many years. Then Robert Solow, also economist, also Nobel laureate, he's still there. Okay. So then I collected a lot of material. So these are the kind of four people published a paper in 1961. So and then when the paper is published, it looks so beautiful. But you never know what went behind the paper. Okay. Sometimes they say, you don't want to see few things being met. One is, I don't know whether you eat called sausage. You have seen sausage, No. It's tasty, but you don't want to know how it is made. From all the leftovers are made, sausage. Another is law. How the laws are made, say in Indian parliament, all kinds of things goes on. Another is economic model. Also, I'll say, papers. There's a lot of things goes on behind. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So here will be my focus. Bagicha means. Okay. Okay. So this is the paper. Again, nowadays we don't read papers very much, but if you are interested, just look at this, paper published in 1961 in the Review of Economics and Statistics. Okay. Because CS person function is so well known, they don't give you the reference anymore. First thing. And they don't mention there are four people involved in it. And sometimes we assume, yes, it must be done by a British guy or American. Okay, but it was. So I have put Minhas, as you can see, in a bold because he was the main speaker. Okay, so that is the connection, and we'll tell more about. Okay. Okay, so they said, they collected a lot of material before this is who this guy. Simon is an office. It's not mean. The office looks like this, very organized. But this is Kenneth Arrow. Okay, so I was in his office, until more, and it is very well organized. So when we were talking, then suddenly he said, he had an unpublished paper somewhere. He didn't publish it. Then I said, can you, send me the paper sometime? He said, I'll give you right now. Then what he did, he worked and then put his hand under the knee and pulled out the paper. Okay, well, here it is. So that's what I mean, well organized. Okay. Okay, so that is Arrow. So I had a long chat with him, and he told me a lot of stories. And okay, yeah. So this is the one. See, look at this. This is 2009, and I was kind of wanted to see him, but then he said, I am not feeling well. He was already 96 years old or something around that time. He says, I'm not feeling well. Then I said, no, then let us pull off, we can just communicate by email. And, so I said, let us not meet there, in person. We can not do by email. So I, expressed some anxiety. Then look at this guy, he talks about called, I am sorry for your anxiety. I mean, who says this, this is the kind of height of the politeness you can think about. And then say, no, yes, we can meet on 2 p.m. on Monday. And it was supposed to be half an hour quick meeting. But the meeting went late into 5 o'clock. Okay. So this is a Nobel laureate I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah. So this is, I had a lot of exchange with, Arrow. Okay. Now let me go into what is CES production function. But before that, the call Cobb-Douglas. So CD is Cobb-Douglas. Okay. And the Cobb-Douglas production function. And it is one of the simplest production function. Why it is simplest? Because it is linear. It doesn't look like linear. A is a constant, A is labor, K is the capital, but you take the log from both sides. So V is the output. Then log V will be log A plus alpha log L plus beta log K. So it's a linear log, doesn't matter. No, you can. So this is a linear answer. Okay, so that is Cobb-Douglas production function. And then there is one of the most important concept in economics is this sigma. Sigma is the called elasticity of substitution, ES. So as you know the interpretation of this, it is the kind of percentage change in the input ratio, that is K by L, as you know the marginal product changes, like this, marginal product is dVdL and dVdK. Okay, you know this. Okay, and so the Cobb-Douglas product function is simplest in another sense that this sigma is equal to 1. 1 is a nice number. Okay. Okay. So that is my, okay. Now try to go from the CD Cobb-Douglas to the CS. Same inputs, labor and capital. But now you can see that there is some more parameters. Okay, particularly this parameter rho. In Cobb-Douglas, rho is basically 0. Okay, rho is basically 0. Okay, those sigma becomes 1. Okay, and it is highly nonlinear. Why is it highly nonlinear? Because you cannot take log of both sides. Look at CS, you can take log of both sides, but it will never become linear. Absolutely no, you cannot do that. Because as you can see, log of V is minus 1 by rho, then log of alpha L to the power minus rho plus beta. So it's the log of the sum. Once you have the log of the sum, you cannot do anything. Only log of the product is the sum of the logs. So this is kind of, I would say one of the most complex nonlinear functions, not only in economics, also in mathematics. I'll come to the mathematics part again later. Okay, so this is the kind of, but the question is, how do you go from Cobb-Douglas to CS? Even Cobb-Douglas was one of the very first concern of production. So that was the economics do. You have the data, but you want to summarize with a simple model. And the Cobb, one guy, he's a math teacher. Douglas was a very famous economist, also a politician. They did it together in around 19, I'll come to the exact date, maybe 1935 or somewhere. But it took almost another, 30 years to come to the CS production function. Okay, but here again, the restriction in Cobb-Douglas that you put sigma is equal to 1. No, sigma is equal to 1, means rho is equal to 0. Okay, that means sigma is equal to 1 means that means you have kind of very flexible substitution. Okay, something like you can change K and L. Okay, and then you can move around your what you call the isoquants. So you can move around K and L. And sometimes for certain process, you cannot do that. Say something like chemical output. You cannot change, they have to be in exact proportion. Just like making water, say, as a silly example, Then hydrogen and oxygen must become in a particular, proportion, say. You cannot change it. So there is no substitution. No, you cannot say we have, some hydrogen, little oxygen. No, you cannot do it. That's the essence of production. So certain cases that the limitation. Okay. Okay. And then, so this I have a lot about history. So let me just kind of, okay, yeah. But why I'm dealing with the CS production function? Then there is a lot of I started doing my PhD in 1979. No, not 70. In fact, I started doing PhD in ISI, but it didn't go too far. So after 2 years, I quit the program and went all the way to Australia in 1979. And there, in fact, I started doing something with CS. Then I kept on doing something related to CS. Okay, so we had a kind of, this, what we call this inner interest in CS production. It just came along. So then I said I must look at the history of CS production. So I have done a lot of CS production functions, starting from 1980 with by Ray Byron. Okay, so I won't go through this. There are a lot of details here. So I will go through this. Then after that, then there is somebody called Hal White, and he came up with something. Then I found there is something wrong, and so again that is also with the CS. Then I was working on nonlinear arch models, and see, look at the nonlinear. Earlier, the arch model was also non-linear, but it was non-linear. But look at HT, it was a linear square. Then I made it non-linear, something like this. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, look at that's my non-linear arch. And you will see this function is just like a CS production function. Okay, so kind of unknowingly, when I developed this class of nonlinear arch model, but this idea was with see, like a nonlinear arch means you are looking at the volatility HT, then there are a lot of disturbances, epsilon t minus one and so on. Now you can think of like a production function. What is your volatility? Volatility is coming from a sigma square, like a long range variance, and then lot of disturbances. So you can think about the production function. Okay, so I had that. Then even when I came to call maximum entropy, and you will see this also looks like a CS production function. Okay, so ultimately, so I thought, it's a kind of, should look at this. Now, going back to this, guy, Bagita Singh Minhas, and the main connection I came to know that he was a PhD student in my, university, UIUC. Okay. And he was a PhD student not in economics department. He was a PhD student in agriculture economics department. Okay. And because UIUC has a good name for agriculture. Okay, I mean mostly for agricultural engineering. But they have also, side by side, they had a good department for agricultural economics, which was part of economics department, but in 1933, they became bigger than us. Okay. Okay. But Minas didn't have much background in economics. He did something called agronomy, little bit of economics. Okay. So, soil science, all those things he did. Okay. But he had some interest, in economics. So he went to do the agriculture economics department. And in fact, the first Indian student went to UIUC to do agriculture. The very first Indian student went to UIUC. Okay, let me ask you, who is that guy? Anybody? First Indian student, again a Bengali student. Okay, yes, Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore sent his son to study agriculture. Not he didn't know agriculture, he did something. I forgot, much lower there. It's called Gopaloni Vidya. Okay, but just imagine how far, ahead of his time, Tagore was, So improve agriculture too. Okay, yeah. So Minas in 1955, he joined UIUC as a graduate student. And again, this year is good because that's the year I was born. Okay, so something, coincidence. Okay, but again, just I told you this that agriculture has a lot of importance in Illinois because if you know Illinois, it's a flat land, and they claim that it is the most fertile land in the world. Okay, I can guarantee you that. I have taken all the seeds from my village, all kinds of seeds, like Misty Kumbro. What do you call Misty Kumbro here? Well, Kumbro, oh no, there is another term, bitter term. In my village, they call it a boital. Anybody familiar with boital? Boital? Yeah. What is it? Yeah, boital. What is boital? There is boy, no book, no. Why boital? Boital is a very, majestic term. You know, boy is coming from the word bhumi. Bhumi means jameen, mati. Because it is like a thorn, not growing on the top of the tree, but right here. The bhumital, and then Bengali has this capacity to make things simple. So from bhumital is boital. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So, oh yeah. Why I say agriculture is so important? My mother is to cultivate this umro or boital. She will get maybe 1 kilogram or 2 kilogram maximum. That's the height of the her productivity. I took the same seed. And over time, you know, my size of this Mishtikum or boital, can you imagine? Some of them become 25 kilogram. But we did experiment, every year I get the biggest one, keep the seed. And over time, from 1 kilogram, I managed to make it a 25 kilogram. Okay. Okay. So because of that, the soil. Okay. So, but my main guru is this. We don't have to take with this guy. Okay. He's my main guru. And he visited my university, UIUC, 3 times. And I mean, for such a great guy to visit, campus like UIUC, it was a very historical occasion. So everybody will ask him, Tagore, what do you think of our university? No, you want to sell them. You think of, we wanted to get some reassurance, So Tagore will jokingly said, that just you have too much agriculture. Let there be some culture. No, because it's a university out of nowhere. If you look at the main universities in say, West Bengal, earlier 95% was introvert. Slowly, I mean, this is very new, your university. But earlier, everything was concentrated. And I think, I do spatial analysis. One thing you will see in India, everything is kind of clustered around only certain places. In West Bengal, it was Calcutta. Now it is spreading, but very slowly. Okay, like if somebody gets sick from my village or sick, we have to go to either Midnapur, then from Midnapur we have to transfer to Calcutta. And by the time the patient is gone. Okay, so because it is things are highly concentrated. Okay, so but in US this university is out of nowhere. There is nothing there, just cornfield, corn and soybean field. Okay, and that's the way I think US is good in education. I think that's one of the reasons that they have put the universities in very very rural areas. Not now, from 1960 or 1860s. My university UIUC it started 1868. Okay, so I think that's needed. You have to slowly spread institutions or healthcare services even to the remote area. So agriculture was a big deal. Okay, so that's why he said jokingly that if there is some you need more culture, not just agriculture. Okay, and again I'll come more to the agriculture again. Okay. So as I said, he did his agriculture, BSc. Then he started trying to move into economics, masters. Then he was a lecturer in Hoshiarpur College for 1 year. Then in 1955, he went to UIUC to do his PhD. But again, there's a lot of story about PhD. Why he went to UIUC for PhD? Again, there is a long story. So this is the place. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So this is the agricultural economics department in my university. Okay, so every kind of you can see the departments are huge. This whole building essentially for agriculture economics department. Okay, and there's a very beautiful building, I can tell you that. Okay, and okay, see why also Minas went there, not just because agriculture was the prominent in UIUC, but also it was early 50s. India was following the Soviet model of 5-year plan, and America didn't like. Okay, they thought Soviet Russia will dominate or influence India, newly independent country, too much. Okay, but there are people more in India. They are a little bit sympathetic to not exactly communism but socialist ideas. Nehru. Then someone who drafted the second 5-year plan. Hey, who is that guy? He drafted the second 5-year plan. Good friend of Nehru. We know that Indian government has completely abolished the planning department. There is no more planning. All nowadays, I don't know who make the decision of Indian economy, but no planning. Maybe Adani and Ambani. No, sorry about that. Yeah. So there is no planning department. But there was a huge planning department, and one guy, you should know his name. He drafted the first 5-year plan, second 5-year plan. Not an economist, but a statistician. Warner, exactly. Just imagine this, here is a guy, not even economist, no degree, a statistician, not even a statistician, a physicist turned statistician. And he was given this, kind of, what do you call it, responsibility to get to plan. I mean, this is the kind of thing can happen, during that time. You just don't ask your friend to do this. It was all over. Anyway, so then United States thought they should do something. No, and who involved in this? CIA. And then CIA. They do more. I mean, sometimes I don't know what good thing they have done. I have a sometimes they good thing, mostly bad things, as you know. And so they come up with a plan. They say, no, okay, what we should do, we should get, they had a lot of money. We should get all the Indian PhD students to come to United States, do PhD here, and then we can their brain, what's their brain? Okay, and then when they go back, they will all become capitalists. Okay, so that was the plan. So they gave money to the Indian student. It is very easy to get money, to go to United States that time. Anybody applies gets the money, full scholarship. Okay, so Minas got that scholarship. Okay, but I think CIA didn't know one thing in the United States, education and politics is just far up. In the university, they don't care. I mean, I hope that true in India. In United States, I've been there for 40 years, but I can tell you, there is absolutely no political influence on any university, even any academic institutes. I can do anything, completely free. Okay, so the CIA plan didn't work out. So so people did PhD, some stayed, some came back, but not with the capitalist. Okay, okay. And in fact, some of them became communist while staying in the United States. Okay, so he went to this, department of agricultural economics. But as you know, you see, this is a agricultural economics. People are supposed to do agriculture, but you need tools. They don't have tools. I mean, they have tools, like a sickle or maybe a plow. Not they have a big machines. But for research, you need the tools. So those students, that time, even now, they have to take all their courses from this department, like let me see, come on, where it is? Yeah, this is the department, economics department. So the students have to do micro, macro, and econometrics, first year courses. with the economics PhD students. And for economics PhD students, they have to get A or minimum B plus grade, economics PhD. But for agriculture economics, even they get C, that was a good grade. Okay. Okay. Again, it's the level, hierarchy. Is there anybody from agriculture economics? No. Good. So the top math, then stat, then econ. Again, econ is that almost in the top of the food chain. After that, you have all the other agricultural economics, financial economics, this economics. We are at the top, no economics. Okay, so they were sent to take classes in econ, somehow pass the course. But Minas, he didn't have any math or stat background. He could not even get C grade. Okay, so he was in big trouble. But what happened, particularly he had trouble with micro theory class. It was taught by a guy, no, he was my colleague. I saw him he was there until 2000. I joined UIUC in 1983. So for 17 years, this, Hans Brims was my colleague. But he didn't teach micro theory, but it was pure mathematics. No, this is the guy, micro. Yeah, this is Hans Brims. Okay. And he also worked with, from a very famous guy. The name is here, no. Leontief. I think name should be here. Okay. But see, look at his book, His economic theory basically means, economical mathematics. So he taught exactly that way. And Minas didn't understand any of it. So his grade was really bad. Okay. So, so that is what happened. That with no math and stat background, uh, because he didn't know algebra, matrix algebra, calculus. So you cannot study, micro without knowing calculus. You cannot study econometrics without knowing matrix algebra. So he was kind of, and I see a lot of students face this thing that they come to economics but without enough math background. It is not their fault, but sometimes you need that. You cannot avoid it. Okay, so but again, unfortunately, Hans Brains, taught him called production function. Okay. So he taught, of course, August is 1928. Okay, and then now Leontief had his own production function, and let me say skip these things. There is a lot of references, you don't have to worry about them. No, I don't want to cover them. Okay. So Cock Douglas production function done by two guys. And one is this very famous guy, Paul Douglas. He had taught in my department, UIUC, but when he became famous, he moved to University of Chicago. Okay, but then he also became a senator. Okay, and he was a very good guy. No, I'll tell you later. And even Martin Luther King says, he was the greatest of all greatest of all the senators. And he became so famous, he ran for the president in 1968 as a Democratic candidate, but he lost in the primary. So he lost in the primary. Guess who became the president? Richard Nixon. Okay, from the Republican Party. Okay, so but he was a good guy. Okay, and so there is a lot of correction. He was not only in UIUC, his second wife, Emily Taft, was the daughter of an artist or sculptor called Loredo Taft. And my department is on the Taft drive. So I go through Taft drive every day. And this, Emily Taft was the second wife of Paul Douglas. And he was an honest guy. Because why I keep on saying honest? Because it's a reality. If you think that, dishonest or all these people have India or West Bengal has the monopoly of dishonest people, no, that's not true. No, we have a share of, because Okay. And then there is a guy called Cobb. Cobb was a kind of, math teacher. I mean, teacher means he was not a professor, he was a lecturer in our college. Okay. And so they work together. I'll tell you how they work together. Okay. Because they belong, no, Douglas was one of the top, in the top University of Chicago, senator. Later he became senator, but he was very famous even in 1920. Okay. And they work together. Okay. But I will tell you more. Okay. So this is an award every year they give it to the most honest politician now in Illinois. Okay. Every year they give it, or they are trying to give. But what happened for the last 10 years, they could not find anybody, to give the award. It's called Ethics Award. Okay. Why? Because many of the politicians are in jail. But India is no problem, if you become jail, then you can easily become MP, then you can become minister. Okay, but US is a good thing, honest people, but there is justice system. So the last three, as I know, the governor, are in jail, and then they could not find, suitable person to give this award, called Paul Douglas Ethics Award. Yeah, award for ethics in government. Okay, yeah. So okay. So how did they do this, Cobb Douglas production function? But in mathematics, let us think about how they collaborated. Two different kind of people: a poor math teacher and a famous, professor. What happened? Paul Douglas' wife was, friend of Cobb's wife. They went to college or school, high school together. Okay, but they kept in touch. The two wives. Okay, they're similar, but their husbands are very, different category. So one day to meet, for lunch. One day they're meeting, and then Mrs. Douglas was very upset. He said, "No, what happened?" No, say, no, no, no. My husband is going crazy. Everybody know that. He's famous, but what happened? He's just sitting in the house and with lots of papers and with lot of dots in the paper and trying to run a line through it. He cannot do it, so he's getting lazy and getting angry with his research assistants and his colleagues, and now he's getting mad with me. His false wife is telling to go. Okay, so I go lines. Well, yeah, lines. He has a lot of these, some dots thing. They say, no, my husband also does a lot of lines, I know. He's a mathematician. No, but he's not this kind of line. It's different kind of line, he's doing. Then, Cobb's wife says, why don't you, your husband meets my husband, then my husband can tell something. He said, no, 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 he won't meet your husband. I mean, he's a University of Chicago professor, But he said, but my husband is math. He knows, math. Line is a math. That's what they thought. Line is a math, And then, they meet, reluctantly, eager because the poor guy, and he's, Douglas they meet, reluctantly. And then, Douglas was ready with his lots of, this, graphs or the scatter diagrams. And then he explained, to Cobb, I want to fit a linear regression for this, but I cannot, And then, then Cobb looked at it, let me see your data. He looks all the, it's called Y and X. And then Y and X, go a little bit linear, and then they become little, different, not linear anymore. Then Cobb looked at it for 5 minutes. He said, no, no, you are doing the wrong thing. You are plotting Y against X. Can't you see it won't be linear? Why don't you just simply do this? Take log of Y and then log of X. And then see what happens. Okay. And then he called his RA, do this, I mean, he told RA that you are doing a wrong thing. You are supposed to take log but you didn't take the log. Now take the log and run the regression now. And that is the regression they ran, that kind of, the V by K, this is like the capital productivity, and this is the labor capital ratio. No? So earlier he was plotting V by K on L by K. That's what he's plotting. Okay, but it was not, it is kind of going exponential. So you have to take the log. And when they hit this line, and it was, almost perfect fit, scale from 0.1 to 0.9 or 0.8. And it's done. So that's the way Cobb becomes the cause. Okay, so this is the paper, Cobb-Douglas linear regression. Okay, so it's a kind of meeting of a math and a. So just imagine if Cobb was not there, we won't have even Cobb-Douglas. Okay, so the math is essential. Okay, and you can see that I should not say this. The smartness level, it took 5 minutes for Cobb to figure out, and Paul struggled along with his, RAs for months, So that's why, I always put mathematics a little high up there. Okay. Okay, yeah. So that's why, you had the Cobb-Douglas production function. Okay, so let me just kind of skip through that. Okay, so the teacher then said the Cobb-Douglas production function is very attractive and people have done it many times. Empirically is good, and that's the end of it. He said, just do Cobb-Douglas production function. And of course, Brahms, he didn't understand Cobb-Douglas that much, so he didn't say much. Then, but he was looking for a thesis topic. Although he didn't pass micro, mac, I think he failed micro and econometrics. But they said, okay, you are an Econ student, then don't worry. You can go for it. PhD, but you have to submit your research proposal. So he was badly looking for a thesis topic. I'm sure a lot of young students, maybe in the same stage, looking for a good thesis topic. And how you are looking for it? You are going to the library, looking at the journals, articles, or talking to your supervisor. So those are the kind of normal way to. Okay, but this for the Minhas, the idea for his thesis topic didn't come from any of those, journal articles or his, guide. It came from very unlikely place I call the barber shop, and from the, I said, it's a very uh, highly fertile agriculture place. So around you see that they only grow two things, corn and soybean, and only once in a year, because much of the time, it's under the snow. And that's enough for the people. I mean, they produce so much corn, not only they consume, but as you know, many of those times you get this, they export huge amount of exports. So corn is like, the productivity level you can imagine. Okay, we'll talk about it, but, not only just due to the fertility of the soil, but also the high tech. So in fact, they use so much corn, people get wonder what do they do with the corn. So there is a little story. One guy comes, says, so much corn. Then ask the farmer, what do you do with this so much corn? Then they say, okay, we eat what we can, and what we cannot, we can. It was a joke. Let me repeat it. We eat what we can. What we cannot, we can. Can means they put in a can, or soup or and then export it. Okay, so we can means we put in a for export. Okay, so that was it. Okay, anyway. Okay, so It's a big deal. Okay. And he went with host family because US was trying to harder to kind of influence the Indian students. So they will be attached to a host family. So the host family will invite the students and show up, how beautiful US is, and at least compared to Russia, how rich they are, they will show up there many things. So that was the part of the job of the host family. And they will also take care of, invite you for dinner and all those things. So that's the host family, in US. It is in my university. Okay. So about it, so this is in Hoshiarpur, Barbershop. They also my village too. What is the difference between these two? Let me see how much you remember. What's the difference between the two? There are two kind of cuts going on. Okay. That one is called maniac because it is inside the room. And this is called Italian. But this guy is sitting on an eat or whatever. Okay. So that's why he was familiar with, these two kind of cuts, two styles. Okay. That's all he knew. Okay. So this is a production function going on. No, I mean, it's a service. Of course, it's a production function. I mean, see, he was thinking for his topic from this kind of picture. Okay. And what is the guy spending a lot of time? And the capital is just one Caesar. That's it. That's it. Okay. But now when he went to Illinois, this was the okay. In Econ, we just Romanian style. But you can see, they don't use Caesar in US. There's something they call clipper. Clipper means, you just kind of take this thing, battery operated, and then you just do this. maximum 5 minutes, you are done. Okay. But this is expensive, instrument. Okay. So input is the same. Here, inputs are different. This is I never had the Romanian cut in India. So when I came to Calcutta one time, I went to the Romanian, and this guy charged me, 50 rupees. My sister said, no, he robbed you, it is only 40 rupees, And then he went and got back the 10 rupees. I said, okay. Because he asked me where they are from. I said, no, I'm just visiting. Okay, 50 rupees. So he thought, okay. So anyway. Okay. Now look at this. The production version. The Indian style, I mean, no, it could be like a rupees 100 or rupees 50. And it's a very good service, 30 minutes. So 30 minutes of labor, say, very little capital. But look at the UI, you see, huge cost, see $20, huge. Even now, now it is more. It's like more than 800 rupees. And service, I mean, basically most of the time it is over in 5 minutes, 5 minutes of labor. So he was thinking, look at this, the production function. And if it is a Cobb Douglas, then what it says, the elasticity is the same. Constant elasticity. That means elasticity in India, if I put Cobb Douglas, we will be assuming same as in US. Cannot be. As you can see that, capital level kind of combination is so different. So he said, Cobb Douglas cannot fit both the correction function coming from Indian data, and suppose you could get the data. So that was his idea that it cannot be true in both places. That means Cobb Douglas will not fit for all kinds of production function. That's the kind of idea he had. Okay, so just think about a student struggling to find a thesis topic, and it is coming from one from this barber shop, but another solid example he found out from agriculture that he was familiar with. Okay, so they had a very small land, and in that land, who were his father, his uncle, he himself, and sometimes they will hire some daily laborer. Okay, small land. Okay, and what was the capital? And that was the capital. Okay, and those do use the same called bhutta. And you will believe that time the price of the corn was exactly same as in India and United States. Same price. Not now. Because why? Now how much is a dollar? Who is investing? How much dollar? $1 is how many rupees? It's 80 or yeah. You know how much is that time? I think before independence it was equal almost. Then it is something maybe $1 is equal to something 1 point something, 5 rupees. More or less same that time. Okay, so you want to go back, I know, but so that time price of these two was more or less same. So that is India capital, and for his host family, capital. Okay, and even beneath these machines, they're like a giants. So there is a common thing. So this is for plowing, and then during harvesting, they will take it out and attach a harvesting, and it will be done in no minute. Okay, so that is the capital. And what was the labor? How many labor they have? This guy has 1,000 acres of land, only one person labor. Because you need just one person to operate this. Okay. Again, he had a concrete kind of evidence that coprola's cannot be same. It's more real in agriculture production, particularly in the corn. Okay. So he thought about these ideas. He had 18 acres of land, 3 labor units, 2 pair of oxen, and some casual labor. And Illinois, this guy had 450 acres of land. They only grew corn or soybean, and 2 laborers, sorry, not one, he and his wife, and a big machine. And as I said, no corn is were similar at that time in India. And so, and again, we talked about the barber shop. Then he was thinking, how that this guy, 450 acres of land, that means he needed, in Indian way, at least 100 people, or 50, pairs of oxen he needed, but had only one machine and 2 labor. That's it. So then he tried to kind of understand what he learned in the Hans brain class. Okay, and I mean, he went to Hans brains, but Hans brain said, go to the book, write down mathematically, but he didn't know any mathematics. So basically, Hans brain said, just get out of my room, because he could not explain what he was trying to say in mathematics. I mean, who wants to hear the Baba story or this the plow story? Anyway, so then he started having the doubts about this, elasticity to be one, and there is a lot of empirical evidence that Douglas is good enough. Then he read, some of this mathematics. I don't know, you read this we had to read this RGDRL called Mathematical Analysis for economics, and then there is a kind of explanation of the elasticity of substitution. He understood all these, you know, and then this is the what his main idea, that changes in capital labor ratio in response to changes in capital rental ratio. No, I mean that's the main thing. Cannot be the same. No, either in haircutting or in farming in Illinois or in Punjab. Okay, so that means not the same production function. There must be two different production functions. That means Cobb Douglas cannot be true at both places. Okay. So this is this is he wrote in his diary. Okay. Then suddenly he thought, he got a brilliant idea. Okay, that questioning the Cobb Douglas production function. Okay. In fact, he was thinking of my head, started throbbing, heart, thumping. Once he, got this idea in the library, table that he was, so he hit upon this kind of, topic. He thought, okay, okay. So somehow he passed the uh, written exam and the oral exam, but people thought, okay, it's okay. This guy can finish thesis, but nothing great. They neither they failed him nor they say, they're very happy about it. So this is not just another average, PhD. But he was really kind of disappointed that nobody encouraged him. Okay, but as I said, his scholarship was funded by United States government, not any university, and he got the scholarship for 4 years. That means he can go anywhere in the United States and take the scholarship with him. I mean, that's the freedom students have, or had, or even now they have. You can go anywhere. It's all you have the full freedom of doing this. So, but who was administrating this, scholarship? It is a name. I forgot that. It's very nice name. I remember we used to get the food that time. It's called PL480. Anybody remembers PL480? Yeah, we used to get. I remember in 60s we used to get this, some food. We used to call it, Bulgar wheat, and at that time we had a saying that this Bulgar wheat is for the animals in US, and they are sending us to us for eating. This is very good to me. Okay, yeah. So this was the US is trying to help whatever way they can. So Bera was the academic head of that program. Okay, and then who is this guy? Chanari was the administrator. But there are at least a few hundred students all over India was studying, okay, in economics and other subjects. So he thought, no, okay, enough with Illinois. Then what he did, he by himself he boarded a bus and all the way to Stanford. Why Stanford he went? Because the Stanford that time they started a project. It's called quantitative economics, quantitative research in economic development. Now, nowadays we talk about quantitative economics, but that time it was so new. Quantitative. It is more than econometrics. It could be anything quantitative. Okay, and again, it was done under direction of this guy, Hollis Bichanari. Okay, and as I said, he was a famous economist. And then another, applied econometrician called Henry Hauteka. So he went there. Okay. By the way, what is quantitative economics? Economics, we already talk about. Arthashastra. quantitative in Bengali, quantity. Quantity is matra. Okay. Quantitative matratok. So if many of you are doing quantitative economics, you can say you are doing matratok orthonomy. Okay. Matratok, you know, sometimes you can just change it to marathi. So close. Okay. So next time some of your parents say, what you are doing, you know, I'm doing something marathi. Okay. Anyway, so anyway, so they have the center. And he goes there. Then, okay, sorry. Okay, to see. See how much time I have. Just keep on going as if there's no restriction, no constraint. No, that is not the one I am asking. How much I still time have, positive or negative number? 10, 15 minutes, okay. Yeah. So then he had some problem, and you know, but then collected some data from 24 industries, 19 countries, because he wanted to do the empirical work. Okay. And he ran this regression. Okay. Now look at this regression. Beta is more like your elasticity of substitution. Now look at it. Do you remember we talked about this? This is the literature, labor productivity, and this is the kind of wage rate. No, okay, more like capital productivity. If octopus is right, then beta will be 1. And Lewin production function, if you remember the isochron of the Lewin production function is like this is perpendicular shape. So that will be no like chemical experiment, no beta will be 0. Okay. But his main interest was whether beta is equal to 1 or not. So he got this data and ran regression, no linear regression. Okay. Okay. Then he had a working paper. He called it empirical test of elasticity of substitution. Basically, testing whether beta is 1 or close to 1. You can see what I can do. Okay. I don't know whether you can see this. Can you read here? Can you see the betas? Yeah. See, look at. They are some are quite different from one. Then the t-statistics is more like testing the hypothesis that beta is equal to 1, not 0. No, that's the main hypothesis. Now look at some of them are pretty high. Can you see that? Minus 3.8, 2, minus 2.8. So some are rejecting the hypothesis that beta is equal to 1. So this is something that he thought, is great. Of course, it's great empirically. Okay, and then he did also with the aggregate data of 43 countries. Then we got beta is equal to 0.752 with So this is also statistically significant from 1. Okay, so he thought it was a good result. Okay, okay, and I won't go through this. This is not okay. Then his colleagues say, yeah, fantastic, good work, empirical work. Stanford is, University of Illinois. I should not say this, It doesn't a good high standard. This sounds good, but, so I didn't know what to do next. He has a good empirical paper, but then nobody said it's a great paper. Then, he sent this thing to Kenneth Arrow. But when Carroll wrote to me that he's returning from MIT to Stanford and he read his paper, and now look at this. He found that the results are extremely interesting. This is the first time he heard something positive. Okay, so just wait, I'm going there and then we look at your paper. Then Arrow told to Minhas following. I think this was a letter. If your results are at variance with CD, means if you think your results are not fitting the Cobb-Douglas hypothesis, then you cannot just say Cobb-Douglas is wrong. You should be asking a follow-up question. Can you suggest an alternative hypothesis, a functional form of the production function, which might generate the your results? So, I mean, students, you can see what a great, guide can tell you how to go. That, okay, you say Cobb-Douglas is not right, but, I mean, that's not enough. What you have to say, if you're right, can I find a production function, an alternative, which will fit the data or close to the data? Okay, so that means he has to find a new production function. But Minas was, not capable of doing that at all because he didn't know any math. Okay, so about this, the essence of. See, look at what regression Minas was doing. He was running this regression. This simple linear regression and testing beta is equal to 1 or not. Then his beta was equal to 1. Okay, so this is not production function. No, what is production function? You have to write down V explicitly in terms of L and K. No, that's the production function, but this is not the production function. Nobody will know. Take it as a production function. Look at that. Here is the math part. It's not a high math. I think those who have done math in past, you have done your second year, this differential equation. Arrow said, no, let us start with 1. Don't put beta is equal to 1. Then try to simplify this. Generally we do X and Y. Just put Y is equal to your labor productivity. X is the capital labor ratio. Then Y is a function of Fx. Okay, just like the equation 1. Then you can write down, what your marginal product of, capital and labor. Okay, you can write that down, just like what will be your wage, will be your, the fx, the production function, minus, deleting all the expenditure coming from your x is that, capital labor. So, okay, so you can write down this. Now you can convert 1 into this simply a relationship between y and x, a differential equation. Okay, I cannot do this now, but I remember studying this in my second year of math pass. Okay, I cannot do it now, but then it's a kind of 2 or 3 steps. Then you will get solution to this. Then you put it here. You will end up with V, and V is your CS production function. Okay, and that is the proper production function. So now you can see the transition idea, empirical part. Then start from your empirical evidence, equation 1, with beta not equal to 1. Then you have to do this math. And that is the most crucial part. Okay, so if arrow was not there, we don't know when it would have done. Okay, so that is the our, that all we know about, Cobb-Douglas, production. Anyway, so this is the, what sometimes we call the birth of an empiric impregnated model. Because, see, he didn't come with a theory. He had this, keen observation about, haircut and corn production. Then he put this into empirical part, and then Arrow came and did the mathematics. Let me forget about all these. So that is this. Okay, then Minas came back. In fact, when I was in Delhi ISI, I saw him many times. Okay, that was 1975, and you won't remember, you were too young that time. That was done. 75. Students, anybody told your father told anything about 75? 1975 history? 1975 in India. Anything happened? Fine. Flood? No, that was 1978. The major flood in India all over was 1978. 1975, Mrs. Gandhi, he declared emergency. And Mills was part of the Indian Planning Commission. And Mrs. Gandhi didn't like him. So, but he was so famous, he cannot put him into the jail. But everybody else went to the jail. And so I saw him, I said that sitting in his office, working. Okay, so, but I never talked to him because it was kind of, he's there just 10 feet away. No, but essentially 100 miles